Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog. I wasn't planning on doing this reading vlog, but I'm reading some books and I must talk about them. First of all, I'm sorry if you hear the background noise. My son is watching cartoons. It's officially summer here where I am, and kids are out for school. School's out for summer where I'm at. And my hair, I just got out of the shower, so my hair is wet. And I usually put like some curl spray in it, and then I just let my hair air dry. And I have wavy hair, so it does best when I just let it air dry on its own. But first of all, we're going to talk about, because I always have like a Kindle book and a physical read going. Right now on my Kindle, I have The Designated Twin by Drew Taylor. And I'm not going to show it on my Kindle, but I will pop up a picture here in front of my Kindle so you can see what the cover looks like. And I'm absolutely loving this. This is almost like a fairy tale type of book. It even starts out with Once Upon a Time, but it's not really it's a fairy tale, but it's not. It includes a prince. He's technically supposed to be second in line for the throne, but his older brother has abdicated the throne, so now he's next in line. And in order for him to become king, he needs to be married to become king. So his friend introduces him to a Lucy at a wedding. I guess it's a mutual wedding between friends or whatever. He's here in the States, so I forget where. Minnesota, Mississippi. I forget where exactly. Excuse me. And I forget what country. I'm pretty sure it's a fake country, but his country. He's over here in the United States. Because he is, of course, betrothed. Is that how you say it? Betrothed? His parents want to set him up for an arranged marriage with somebody else who is a princess, I believe. And he wants to marry for love. So he's in the States, I guess, looking for a wife. And like I said, I guess it was like a mutual friend introduced him to Lucy. Turns out Lucy is a twin, and her twin's name is Lorelai. Well, he meets Lucy at the wedding. They hit it off. They have a good time, so he asks her out on a date outside of the wedding. Well, something happens, and Lucy gets a black eye, so Lucy asks Lorelai to switch places. So here we have, like, the Parent Trap type thing going on here, where they're switching places to go on the date, because she says, I look so ugly, like her black eye is so bad she can't even cover it with makeup type of thing, and she doesn't want to go on her date with a black eye, which I understand. So she asks Lorelai to take her place, and Lorelai's like, well, I can't pretend to be you, because she's, for one, autistic, so she can't stand like touching people and stuff like that. There's certain things that she won't eat. And she's almost like she's more into facts and stuff like that. Where Lucy is more like the typical girly girl. Lorelai's like complete opposite of that. So she's like, I don't think I can act like you. But she ends up doing it anyways, going on a date with this guy. I'm like, I think 34, 32% in to the book, and I'm loving it. So she goes on the date with him. Long story short, I don't know if I think it's the friend that told them, the mutual friend told them that he's a prince, and he's like he didn't tell Rory that he was a prince in line at the throne in another country. But the friend told her. So this whole time, of course, Lucy told Lorelai. Lorelai's on this date thinking this guy, he's a prince, and he's not telling us. So we got that aspect going on there. And he's like not telling them because he knows that could sway some people to want to marry him, because they're going to be the queen one day. But so that's why he's keeping it under wraps right now. But long story short, he finds out fast He says that she's nothing like the girl that he was meeting at the wedding. He talks about that in his point of view, and his dual point of view. You get Lucy's point of view. You get, I believe, Lucy's point of view, Lorelai's point of view, and his point of view. I don't know why I can't remember his name. I'm completely blanking on what his name is. But you get 3 points of views here, which I really am enjoying. And you even get like little Lucy is making like diary entries. And so you get that too. You get little like diary entries within the book. I'm absolutely loving this. It's so good. So this is an ARC book. I didn't say that at the beginning, but this is an ARC book. Drew Taylor did send this to me to read and review, for my honest review. But I've read The Designated Valentine from her, and she does have one before that that's called The Designated Friend, and this is The Designated Twin. And then she has another one that's going to be coming after this. I think it comes out later this year, called The Designated Date. So, and then she has the Politics of series too, I think that she does, which I haven't read any of those books, but I really want to. So I really enjoy Drew Taylor's writing. I think she has really good fun writing. She does a good job at telling a story and weaving in a little bit of faith inside of her books. So her books also have faith elements, if that's something you like. If that's something that you don't care about, I feel like she does it so seamlessly that you don't even notice. You're just reading it and you're thinking, okay. But this has definitely been a really good book, and I've been quite enjoying it. And I will let you know like my final thoughts at the end, because right now it turns out that he's liking Lorelai more than he likes Lucy. So, and he's I'm in a part right now where he's on his first actual date with Lucy, and he's fine, and he's like realizing that, hey, this doesn't seem like the same person. So he thinks that he's on the date with Lorelai instead of Lucy, when in reality he's on the date with Lucy and he's been on a date with Lorelai before. So it's been very good, and it's been very good to read this and physically read, because I'm physically reading I Must Betray You by Ruda. I don't even know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, but it says trust no one, tell no one, spies are everywhere. So this one is historical fiction. This is the very first historical fiction I'm picking up. I'm going to read you the synopsis on this one, because it's right here in my book and it's handy. But it says communist, it's Romania, 1989. And I was born in 85. Why don't I remember? This is historical fiction, but it's like based off of true events that actually happened in history. So this says communist regiments are crumbling across Europe. 17-year-old Christian, I don't know how you say it, Florescu, dreams of becoming a writer. But Romanians aren't free to dream. They are bound by rules and force. Amid the tyrannical dictatorship of Nicolae, I don't know how you say his last name, in a country governed by isolation and fear, Christian is blackmailed by the secret police to become an informer. He's left with only two choices: betray everyone and everything he loves, or use his position to creatively undermine the most notoriously evil dictator in Eastern Europe. Christian risks everything to amass the truth behind the regiment, give voice to fellow Romanians, and expose to the world what is happening in his country. He eagerly joins the revolution to fight for change when the time arrives. But what is the cost of freedom? Master storyteller Ruda Septes is back with a historical thriller that examines the little-known history of a nation defined by silence, pain, and the unwavering conviction of the human spirit. This book, this book is so good. It's so eye-opening. I'm on chapter 20 now, and it's like I have a lot left to go. But it's short chapters, so it like flies by. This is, when they describe it as a historical thriller, they're not lying, because I feel like when you describe a thriller, it's a book that's really fast-paced, and you can really like get immersed in, and I don't know. It's definitely a historical thriller in that part. I'm glad that this is like one of the first historical books I'm reading, because it's so eye-opening to what could even happen today to us about communism. They're not free to do anything. They're not free to watch movies. They're not free to even have warm water, or water at all, or electricity. That is what communism does to a country. That is what happens when you let the government rule and have a say-so in what you do. And that is, honestly, if you open up your eyes, that's what's going on in our country right now, what they're trying to do, what the Democrats are trying to do. They're trying to, little by little, you may not see it, but little by little, they are trying to move us more towards communism, pushing us to get electric vehicles. Then they say it's environmentally friendly. No, that is government control. There's so many other things that they're doing that are, it just, wow. If you don't see that, it's the reason why I never talk about, I never talk about politics on my channel, but I can never vote Democrat because of that. Because Democrat is not the way it used to be. It is much more of an agenda today to be Democrat. Pushing your ideals on people. And it's the reason why I can never vote Democrat. Because when I see Democrat, I see them trying to push more government, less people, more government control. They talk about having, free college? They talk about having, I don't know if those ever been talked about, but they talk about like college not cost anything, being like when you go to high school, it's free. That's government control. And just because it's free doesn't mean you're going to be free to learn what you want to learn, you know what I mean? So, freedom is only free if you fight for it. And this is just so impactful. It opens your eyes in so many ways. So he's 17. He gets caught with a dollar bill, which is illegal. I think it says that he thinks, I don't know if it's true, but he thinks it's his best friend that told on him with the dollar bill. And that's how they get him into looking out for this. I guess it's an American family that's here. But it just opens your eyes to what communism really is. And something that we don't want here in our country. So, I implore you to read this book. I'm going to go ahead and continue reading, because I do want to read a little bit more in this book and get more into it, because I do have another book that I actually have to return to the library. But I didn't mention I am reading this for a book club, for the protagonist pub. I think it's the name of her book club. Anyway, it's on Discord, and I will link the Discord down below if I can. But I'm already loving what this book so far. It is so good, and it's hard not to just binge read it, but I'm trying not to binge read it because I want to take in all of the history and the things it's like teaching you. But so good. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to reading, and I'll give y'all updates later on. I am planning, once I'm done this, and I'll probably include them in this vlog too, so this might have 4 books in it, because once I'm done with my Kindle read, once I'm done with my current Kindle read, I'm gonna start reading Resorting to Romance, which is the 4th book in the Love Trippin' series from Savannah Scott. So I'll be starting that one next on my Kindle once I'm done with Drew Taylor's book. And once I'm done with I Must Betray You, I don't have anything else for book club until July. I'm doing the Hannah's book club, the Comfy Cozy book club, which is also in Discord, and I'm going to link it down below. So if you're not a part of it, you can go join. And I'll introduce you to the book I'll be reading when it comes that time. But the book I'm reading after this is going to be The Wishing Game. That's going to be my physical read next. So many good books I'm reading at the moment, and I felt like this book in particular is the reason why I wanted to do the reading vlog, because I felt like it needed to be talked about more. This is something that needs to be talked about more, Because you think it can't happen to us. It's never going to happen to us. But the government is sneaky. They can get in there just little by little, inch by inch. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to any country. If you just let the government control you little by little. Just saying. Anyways, enough with the heavy stuff. I'm going to go back to reading, and then I'll update you guys when I've read a little bit more. Okay, you guys, so I'm sitting here reading this, and I just have to read this to you. I'm on chapter 22 now. In chapter 21, he's at his friend's house. He's at this foreigner's house. They're Americans. They have friends that are in America. And the only reason he's there is because he's supposed to be reporting on everything that they do and writing them out. And it's because his mom works cleaning their house for him. Well, here he's talking to his mom. He had watched a video on their video player. They have color TV, a VHS tapes, like things that's not normal for that time there. And he's talking to his mom in chapter 22 about it, and saying that he's telling her all about it. He's saying, in the video, his friends were in the kitchen, Mama. The food, it's none of your business. I don't want you picking me up anymore. You shouldn't be interacting with a foreigner. You'll be questioned by the security. And he's thinking, should I tell her? It's already happened. I'm returning to her. I'm informing for them, Mama. They knew I was coming to the apartment today. Tomorrow, Agent Paddlehands will probably be waiting for me after school. They think I'm a good comrade, but I'm going to beat them at their game. I'm going to get the medicine that will save Bunu. What would she say if I told her that? How could my mother dismiss everything that was right under her nose? How could my parents accept life under the regiment's heel, crushed and pushed further into the dirt each day, eating nothing but lies and fear? Don't you want better for your children, I asked. She stopped abruptly and faced me. Her chimney of patience began to smoke. Don't you dare tell me what I should want from my children. This is not a game, Christian. It's dangerous. There's no use dreaming of things we can never have. Who says we can never have them? Me. I'm telling you, we can never have them. Finally, she was angry. Good, at least you're expressing some emotion. You know what I'm expressing, Christy? Exhaustion. Your father and I, we're so tired. We work constantly, and when we're not working, we're standing in lines. We're never home, we're never together, and there's nothing we can do about it. And here is the part that just got me. He says to her, "You are wrong. They steal our power by making us believe we don't have any. They're controlling us through our own fear." That is just, wow, eye-opening. Right there, I stopped right there. I was like, they're controlling us through our own fear. Our government is doing that to us. Hello? COVID-19 quarantine, masking, controlling us through our own fear. Think about that. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen, and read this book because, wow. Hi guys, coming in with an update here on I Must Betray You. I said I wasn't going to binge read this, but I cannot help it. Every time I put it down, I'm thinking about wanting to read it and needing to read it. I'm now on chapter 52, and I just have to go back and read chapter 43 too, because I was not at home when I was reading this, so I didn't get a chance to update you. But here it starts in chapter 43, because I just thought the ending was just so perfect to this chapter. It says, I wanted freedom. I wanted Romania to fight back. I filled my notebook with statements, lists, and information about our country, cries for help that I hope Mr. Van Dorn would share with others. I created a section called Gondori, thoughts which contain musings like these. Paradise. If communism is paradise, why do we need barriers, walls, and laws to keep our people from escaping? I raked my hands through my hair, thinking. There were probably rules preventing diplomats from knowingly accepting something controversial. I needed to get around that, make sure Mr. Van Dorn couldn't refuse the notebook. thinking of ways to encourage him to share the information with others. What if the notebook just appeared? The author, unidentified. I took a breath and wrote the following on the cover. Screaming Whispers, a Romanian a Romanian teenager in Bucharest, by Anonymous. So that's the name of his notebook. And then it says, chills formed at the back of my neck. It was a netless leap, suicide, some might say. But I had to try. As the saying goes, better die standing than live kneeling. And that is just so impactful to think of, especially us as Christians. At some point, it's going to come to that for us. We're going to have to die standing for our faith and for God, and instead of kneeling to the whatever the new world order ends up being and the Antichrist. And eventually it's going to come to that for us. So it's just like, this book is so impactful, so eye-opening, and so literally it describes it as a historical thriller, and it really is a historical thriller, as it is so fast-paced and page-turning. Sorry, it's a little close to my face here, but and I also want to show here that we have these little parts where it says, sorry. Here we have these little parts here where it says informer report. Well, there is somebody who is informing on him, because on the last informer report it wrote Christian Florescu, that's his name, Christian, 17, student at MF3 High School, resident in Salgen, Sector 3, observed Saturday at the American Library in Bucharest with American Dan Van Dorn. Florescu and Van Dorn engaged in a brief discussion and exchanged an envelope and a piece of paper. Florescu left with the envelope after just 5 minutes. After Florescu departed, Van Dorn was approached by an American adult male, identity unknown, and proceeded to take part in a hushed conversation that lasted nearly 10 minutes. Van Dorn gave the sheet of paper from Florescu to the American male following conversation. Van Dorn quickly left the library without reading any books or magazines. So I don't know what's going on with Dan, but something is going on with Dan. He has been informing on Dan, so he's been going with him to the American Library every Saturday, and they've been just kind of forming this friendship. And he thinks that he's going to leave this notebook with his Dan's father on his desk, and he'll hoping that he'll share it with the Americans, and it'll get to the reporters over there. And it's in hopes that they will report it, and they'll get the word out of what's going on in Romania and Bucharest. Hopefully they can get some freedom, because they keep on hearing on the illegal radio that they're not supposed to listen to, the informing radio, Free Romania radio, I think it's called. They keep on hearing about all the countries around them are becoming free except for them, and he's like, well, why doesn't anybody know about us and everything? So this has been so good. I'm so close to being done. I'm on chapter 52 now. When I keep reading, we'll see if I can finish it tonight. But I'm like, somebody is informing on him, and he doesn't know about it, and we don't know who it is yet. I'm so very curious who's been doing the informing, because he thinks that somebody informed on him. He thinks that was his friend that informed on him about the dollar bill he had in the beginning. We found out that he thought that Dan was the one that gave him the dollar bill, but apparently it wasn't Dan. So he's wondering who gave him who slipped the dollar bill in his thing. So it's kind of like he has somebody's setting him up here, and just wow. And who's informing on him? He's supposed to be informing on somebody else, but who's been watching him and Dan? We don't know that yet, but this has been so good. And I would have gave way more updates, but I was not in the house at the time through reading most of these chapters, so I didn't have time to give updates. But I'll try to give more updates if I have any more. But this book is just so impactful. Wow. This is definitely given 6 stars. This is like what people say a 6-star book is. This is what this feels like to me. Just wow. Okay. I'm gonna go back to reading and see if I can finish this book up tonight because it is so good. And I have got to know who is informing on him and if they get the freedom and how it happens. So, yes. Hi guys, and update. I finished I Must Betray You by Ruta Septis. And this book was just so impactful. I think this is probably my favorite book of the year that I've read so far. This was just, it impacted me so much. It opens your eyes to so many things, not only that happened back then, but if you read this book, there's quotes in this book that still apply to what's going on today and even in our own country. So I really think it's important that you read this. If you have, it is a YA. So I do think it's important that if you have children, this is a YA book. I think if you have children in middle school / high school, you should absolutely have this as one book that they should read. I feel like this is a book they should make you read in school. Not only is it so good, it has short chapters, it's fast paced. I think even if you're not into like historical fiction, you will really like this because it's almost like a thriller version of historical fiction, as fast paced as it is. I really enjoyed it. It was just so impactful, opened my eyes to so many things. This is fiction, but it is based on events that really happened in Romania, and it was just wow. The freedoms that they had and the way this boy questioned whether we also were like that over there, whether we had air conditioning and heat, whether our power got turned off at certain times. It was just sad. I cried at one point. I cried at a couple points. But yeah, it was just so good. So this is a must read. Y'all must read this if you haven't read it. I implore you to go to your library, pick this up, and read it. It is a YA book, but don't dismiss it because I feel like it's important for everybody to read this, to open your eyes to not only what happened back then, but learning from the past, but open your eyes to what's going on today. Because there was just several quotes, and you've seen me. I talked to you about some of the quotes in here and how it was kind of hitting me as to what was going on throughout today. But yeah, this is a six-star book for me. That's how much I loved this book. So I just had to say that. So now that I've finished that one, I'm moving on to the Wishing Game. Hold on a second. Because this doesn't want to stay there. Wonder if I put it underneath the book. Hold on. So I am still in my pajamas because it's morning time here. But and I wanted to update you guys before it got too late. But here I'm moving on to the Wishing Game now. Is my physical book. I'm still on my Kindle book, and I might finish reading the Kindle book before I start this book, but I don't know because this one is due in like 3 days. So I kind of need to read this, and I wanted to read it because when you read the synopsis, this book sounds so good. So let me read the synopsis to you. Years ago, a reclusive mega best-selling author quit writing under mysterious circumstances. Suddenly, he resurfaces with a brand new book and a one-of-a-kind competition offering a prize that will change the winner's life. Make a wish. Lacey Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, Lucy is able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old orphan Christopher Lamb. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Just when Lucy is about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. For Lucy, the chance of winning the most sought-after book in the world means everything to her and Christopher. But first, she must contend with ruthless book collectors, wily opponents, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind Masterson, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all of their lives forever. So how good does that sound? That sounds so good. I feel like I'm moving from one fast-paced book to maybe the next fast-paced book. I hope it's going to be as fast-paced as it sounds, because this sounds, and it's a shorter book too, so it just sounds like it's going to be so good. Yeah. So I got that from my library, and it is due in like a few days. So I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm getting ready to film the mid-year freakout tag. I've been seeing all of my YouTube girlies doing it that I follow and watch, and I feel like I need to do it too. So I'm going to go film that, and I am going to probably start reading The Wishing Game a little later. So when I have any updates, I'll come back in here to update you about that, and I'll update you also about my Kindle book too, because I do think I'm going to read my Kindle book. I do think I'm going to finish reading my Kindle book before I start The Wishing Game, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a little bit of both. But I do want to first start reading this one, and then I'll go to The Wishing Game. But I am planning to go to the pool a little later with my son. So probably if I go to the pool, I will not bring my Kindle because it's going to be out in the sun and it'll be hot. I'll probably bring The Wishing Game with me, because they do make you take like this. We have a pool here where we lived, and they do make you take like 15-minute breaks so they can test the pool water and everything here. I know some places don't. The last place that we lived at before this place, they never made us take a break. They never checked the water, nothing. They just watched. There was no lifeguard though. This one has a lifeguard. That's probably why. But yeah, they make us take breaks. So usually during the breaks, I read a little bit of my book before going back in the water with my son. So that's probably what I'll do in this case. But anyways, I'm going to go, guys, because I do really want to film that freakout tag. And then I guess I'll finish editing a video that I've been editing. So I'll see you a little bit later. Hi, guys. So I'm coming in here to wrap up the video for my reading vlog. And this is the last book I had to read for the reading vlog. And I finished it yesterday. There was something that I just started reading it yesterday, and I could not put it down until I finished the book. I just had to know what was going to happen, and I didn't even stop to update you guys. I'm so sorry there's not any updates with me reading throughout this book, but this book has to do with a kindergarten teacher. Well, not kindergarten. I keep on saying kindergarten teacher, but I think she is a kindergarten, like a teacher's assistant. But she works in the elementary school as a teacher's assistant. And she has this boy named Christopher, was in her class 2 years ago. And he was going through a rough time. He had parents who didn't pay attention to him pretty much, and just wasn't showing him the love that he needed. And so she was the one who showed him that love and everything. And then his parents started getting addicted to painkillers and drugs and stuff like that. And she was pretty much there for him the whole time. And then one day he came to school, and his parents had passed away. So he's like, I don't have nowhere to go. So she takes him, he gets to stay with her for a whole week while they're looking for a foster family for him. In the meantime, she's just she sees him just so down that she introduces him to some books that she read when she was feeling down when she was a child, and it's called the Clockwork books. And there's so many of the books. So she pulls them out from underneath her bed, I believe it is, and asks him to pick a book. And she would read it to him. And she read the first chapter to him, and she asked him if she wanted him wanted her to keep reading, and he said yes. So she kept reading to him, and he just fell in love with the Clockwork books, as in love as she is. And just, they both loved him. Well, something happened to the author of the Clockwork books, and he just stopped writing books. He hasn't wrote books in like 6 years, I think they say it's been. So, and then she goes to school one day. After that week that she's with him, they send him away to a foster family who still is not the best family for him, and he wants to be with her. They want to be together as a family. She wants to adopt him. He wants her to adopt him. Pretty much she can't, because she shares an apartment with 2 people, and she doesn't even have her own car. So she's just not qualified to be a foster parent, or even according to the state. She's not qualified to be a foster parent. She needs to have her own place and her own car for her to qualify and be able to show that she can support him financially. But like she says, and the same way I feel like when it comes to foster parents, and whether you adopt a child or just fostering a child, she says it should, because she goes to talk to the social worker over it to see again about adopting him, because he just doesn't get paid attention to. They pretty much, all they do is make sure he's fed, he's clothed, and all that, and but they don't show him love. He's not loved there like she loves him. And she tells that to the social worker, and she's like, but he's not loved, and I love him, and that should be part of a requirement as a foster parent, that you love the child. And I feel like that's true. That should be a part of being a foster parent, of loving a child and truly wanting to, I don't know, there's just something about that. But okay, I need a little drink. But so she goes back and she pretty much, the social worker tells her that she needs to break it to Christopher, that she's just not going to be able to be his foster parent or adopt him. And she tells him it's better, the social work tells her it's better if you just let him down easy now and let him know, than to just keep dragging him along and giving him hope that when there is no hope, pretty much. And she leaves that feeling down, and she's like, I guess I'm going to tell him. And she's walking to the school from the place, and then she goes to this toy store, and she ends up picking up 3 little sharks for him to have, because he's into sharks right now. And she figures that if she gives him a little present, it'll help soften the blow when she tells him. But when she's in there getting the sharks, the person who's checking her out asks her this riddle, and she's like, well, why are you asking me this riddle? We just seen this online, and everybody, it's like something that's taken over online, and she like doesn't understand. I guess she's not online or anything, but when she gets to the school, somebody asks her at school the riddle too, and she's like, okay, what's going on here? And before she can talk to Christopher, she talks to her friend at the school, one of her friends that also works at the school, and she's telling her friend tells her not to tell him yet, and asks her the same question, and then proceeds to tell her about the wishing game, which is some contest. Apparently the author of the Clockwork books has written one more book, and he's not gonna publish it. It's gonna be somebody can win it through the wishing game, and the people who are gonna be in the game will know the answer to that riddle, and they'll get it's not a game that you can apply to win. You'll get a letter from the author inviting you to the game. You have to be invited to go. So she figures out the riddle, she takes more time to like really go over the riddle and think about the riddle, and she figures it out because when she was a little girl, when she was 13, I believe she said when she was 13, she ran away from home to Clockwork Island, which is an island. It's in the books, but there's an actual island that the author lives on that he calls Clockwork Island, and she runs away to the island when she's 13. And after he writes her, because she's been going through a rough time with her family, and she keeps writing the author letters, and he finally writes her back, and he tells her that if she were with him, that he would let her be his assistant at Clockwork Island, and they could work together, and they could just be a family pretty much. So she ends up running away from home, gets on a boat to go to Clockwork Island, and knocks on his door. So, and it turns out that when she figures out, not long after she figures out that riddle, she gets a little blue envelope, and she gets an invitation to the wishing game. And she tells Christopher that she's got to go right away, that if she wins, she can get the book, they can read it, and then she can sell it to a publisher for money, and then she'll be able to foster him and adopt him. So she goes off to start playing this game back to Clockwork Island, and it turns out that the other contestants are also contestants that have ran away from home and went to Clockwork Island when they were going through a rough time too when they were younger. And it's just them playing out this game. They get to know the house that's on Clockwork Island and just the acreage around it. And they all think they're playing to win the new book that he had written, that he was not planning to publish, but it would get published. If one of them, if none of them won, it was going to go directly to a publisher to be published, and that was it. But it was just such a good story. It was so whimsical and magical, and it reminds me a lot of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm talking about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory from 1971, and with Gene Wilder. The ending is pretty much the ending of the book. I don't want to say too much about it because it might spoil it, but if you remember the end of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when he's like, "You get nothing. Goodbye, sir." He's kind of a grumpy old man. But this guy is not grumpy like that, the author. But he just loves kids. And it is just such a magical story of her playing this wishing game, trying to win the I guess the final book in the Clockwork series. And when she's on the island, she meets the Hugo, who is the artist of all the book covers of the books, and they kind of have like, they start falling for each other, so there's like a little bit of a love story in here too, but that's like not the main point. I feel like this is like supposed to be like literary fiction, but I loved it so much. I absolutely sobbed at one point in here when she was in the games, and she found out something that happened to Christopher while she was not there. And she was just like, "That's it. I'm going home. I cannot stay in these. I cannot compete no more." I absolutely sobbed during that part. It was like in the middle of the book, and it was just something that sucked me in, and I could not put this down yesterday until I finished reading it. So I absolutely do recommend this book. It does have some language in it, but that's it. It's not too bad. At least I don't think it's too bad. And yeah. It was just a nice, wholesome read. I'm going to have to look for more books from this author. I don't know if this is like their debut novel or whatever, but I'm going to look for this Meg Schaefer. I'm going to be looking for her and more books from her. And I'm absolutely going to purchase this book so I can have it on my own shelf, because I definitely want to reread it and annotate it. But yeah, absolutely love this book. Y'all should definitely pick it up. If you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. Check it out from your library. Pick it up for your shelves, whatever you do. it's a must read. So that is it for my reading vlog this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a whole, but that is it for my reading vlog this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And that's funny. I just noticed you can see my son's cartoon in the background on the glass case. That's funny. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed all the books that I read while I was doing the reading vlog. If you guys have read any of these books that I've read during the vlog, you have to let me know in the comments down below and like your thoughts on these books. But if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate it if you consider subscribing to your channel. And I hope you guys are having a great day, night, weekend, whenever it is you're watching this. And don't forget, Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye, guys.